The struggling graphic freelancer is pregnant with the billionaire Heir. Mary's heart raced against her ribs as she stared at the pregnancy test result, her hands trembling, with the positive pregnancy test. "Answer it, or I will, Tara," Mary's friend warned, her voice sharp with worry. The room felt too small, the air too thick, as Mary's mind raced. How had Marcus found her number? And did he already know the secret she'd only just discovered herself? One reckless night was about to ruin her entire life, and the billionaire on the other end of that call held all the power. The main story: 2 months ago, Mary had let herself get swept away. Tara, her friend, had dragged her to a club, to escape from her grinding freelance life and from the sting of her ex's betrayal. One night to forget, Tara had insisted, handing her a cocktail. Mary, usually reserved, let the music and lights pull her in. That's when Marcus appeared. Charismatic, commanding, his gaze locking onto hers like she was the only person in the room. They talked, laughed, and when he suggested they leave for somewhere quieter, she followed him to his hotel suite. It was a night of passion, no promises, no last names. By dawn, Mary slipped out, leaving no trace, certain she'd never see him again. But then the nausea started. A missed period followed. The drugstore test confirmed her worst fear: she was pregnant. At 28, scraping by as a graphic designer, Mary's panicked. How could she afford a child? And Marcus, a man whose world of wealth and influence was a universe apart, how could she tell him? She didn't even know how to reach him. She resolved to keep it secret until she could make sense of it, confiding only in Tara. Then the calls began. First, a voicemail from an unknown number, Marcus's voice calm but insistent: "We need to talk, Mary. Call me." Then texts, each one more urgent. She ignored them, terrified of what he might want, until Tara's ultimatum forced her hand. Mary answered the phone, her voice barely steady. "How did you get this number? Does it matter?" Marcus replied, his tone clipped. "I know, Mary. About the baby." Her breath caught. "How?" "I have the resources," he cut in. "Meet me tonight at my place. We can't talk about this over the phone." She agreed, and hours later, she stood in his sleek penthouse. Marcus faced her, his posture tense, eyes searching. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, his voice low but edged with hurt. "Did you think I'd walk away?" Mary's defenses flared. "I didn't know you, Marcus. That night was a mistake. I don't need your money." His jaw tightened. "This isn't about money. That's my child you're carrying. I'm not going anywhere." The accusation in his tone stung, but so did his sincerity. Mary sank onto a chair, overwhelmed. "I'm not ready for this," she admitted. "I can't even afford rent half the time. And you're Marcus Kane. What do you want from me?" He knelt in front of her, his intensity softening. "I want a chance to be a father. To know you. That night wasn't just nothing to me, Mary. You felt it too." They talked for hours, piecing together their fears. Mary confessed her terror of motherhood, her struggle to trust after her ex's lies. Marcus admitted he'd tracked her down after seeing her name on a freelance project tied to one of his companies. He'd been unable to forget her, and when his team flagged a clinic visit, he'd pieced together the truth. "I'm not here to control you," he said. "But I won't let you do this alone." Mary was wary, but his persistence wore her down. She agreed to let him be involved, but on her terms, no strings, no expectations. He offered her an apartment near her own, a practical gesture to ease her financial strain without crowding her. "Take it," he said. "You don't owe me anything." At her first ultrasound, Marcus stood by her side, his usual confidence replaced by quiet awe as the doctor pointed to the tiny heartbeat on the screen. Mary's eyes welled up, the reality hitting her hard. "That's real," she whispered, and Marcus nodded, his hand brushing hers briefly before pulling back. But soon trouble followed. A gossip site published a story, Billionaire Marcus Kane's Baby Trap. It smeared Mary's, claiming her ex had sold lies about her scheming to trap Marcus. She called him, furious and humiliated. "This is your world," she said, voice shaking. "I can't live like this." Marcus was at her door in minutes, already on the phone with his lawyers. "I'll shut it down," he promised. "No one gets to hurt you or our kid." Over the next months, they built a fragile partnership. Marcus showed up for every doctor's visit, learned her favorite takeout order, and asked about her designs with genuine interest. When a scare at 18 weeks landed Mary in the hospital, he stayed through the night, his hand steady in hers until the doctor confirmed the baby was safe. One evening, as they sat in her new apartment, Marcus tinkering with a half-built crib, Mary asked, "Why are you so committed to this?" "You don't have to be." He set down the screwdriver, his eyes meeting hers. "My whole life's been about winning, deals, money, control. But you, this baby, you're something I didn't plan, and that makes it real. I want to be someone you can count on." Mary's ex, Liam, resurfaces, fueled by hate and the gossip site's payout. He shows up at her apartment, banging on the door, demanding to know why she's ruining his life with her drama. The camera captures Mary's fear as she refuses to open the door, calling Marcus. He arrives, confronting Liam with cold authority. "Leave, or I'll make sure you regret it," Marcus says, his tone lethal. Liam backs off, but not before hissing, "You'll never fit in his world, Mary." The encounter shakes her, resurfacing old wounds. Marcus stays, sitting with her on the couch. "He's wrong," he says. "You're stronger than he'll ever know." Mary nods, but doubt lingers. At a 22-week checkup, the doctor reveals they can learn the baby's gender. Mary hesitates, then looks at Marcus. "Do you want to know?" He nods, a rare smile breaking through. "It's a girl," the doctor says. Marcus's grin, Mary tearfully laugh. Later, they sit over a movie, brainstorming names. "Something strong," Mary say. "Like her mom," Marcus adds, and she blushes. Marcus invites Mary to a charity gala, his first attempt to bring her into his world. She's nervous, aware of the whispers and stares. The camera follows her through the glitzy crowd, her simple dress stark against their opulence. A snide reporter corners her, probing about the gossip. Marcus intervenes, deflecting it. But Mary feels exposed. Back at her apartment, she snaps, "I felt like a prop, Marcus." He sighs, admitting, "I wanted to show you off, not parade you. I'm learning too." His honesty disarms her, and she softens, agreeing to try again, on her terms. Now 8 months pregnant, Mary stands in her apartment, touching her belly as the baby kicks. Marcus, who was away, received a cryptic warning from Claire about Victor, his business partner, who's been digging into Mary's past, hoping to destroy Marcus's focus on his family. In a tense office confrontation, Victor hints at leaking damaging information about Mary's to destabilize Marcus's company stock before a major merger. Marcus's became fury as he warns him. Later that night, he confides in Mary at her apartment, letting his guard down. "Victor's playing dirty," he says. "I need you to be careful." Mary, rattled but remains resolute, she replied, "I'm not afraid of him." Mary continued to make progress in her job and landed a small but prestigious freelance contract to design a logo for a local nonprofit, through the Claire. Despite her pregnancy fatigue, her passion keeps reigniting. She shows Marcus her work, nervous but proud. "It's not much, but it's mine," she says. He studies the design, genuinely impressed. "It's more than enough," he replies, offering to connect her with a mentor in the design industry. Mary hesitates, still wary of his influence, but accepts, saying, "This stays on my terms." Days later, Mary noticed a strange car hanging around her apartment, raising her suspicion after she spotted it again near her studio. She tells Marcus, who immediately hires a private investigator. The PI uncovers that Liam, Mary's ex, has been tailing her, possibly hired by Victor to gather dirt. Marcus confronts Liam at a seedy bar, and warned him to stay away from Mary. Marcus growls, almost losing control. Liam laughs, "You can't buy her loyalty." The encounter leaves Mary shaken but determined, telling Marcus, "I won't let him scare the non-profit organization Mary designed." Invites her to a community event to unveil her logo. The camera pans across a lively crowd, families celebrating, as Mary's work is projected on a screen. She's nervous, attending alone, but Marcus surprises her by showing up, blending into the crowd quietly. When she's called to speak, she hesitates, then shares her story of resilience, earning applause. Marcus watches, pride in his eyes. Afterward, he says, "You don't need me to shine." Mary smiles, replying, "But it's nice you're here." Forward, Claire uncovers evidence that Victor has been manipulating company records to frame Marcus for mismanagement, using Mary's media scrutiny as a distraction. Claire and Marcus strategize with their legal team to oust Victor. Mary was invited to listen in, and she offered a bold idea, to use her interview footage to counter Victor's narrative, proving their family's unity. "I'm not just a headline," she says, voice firm. Marcus nods, impressed, and Claire grins, saying, "She's one of us now." Mary in a hospital delivery room, she grips into Marcus's hand, her face aches with exhaustion as she pushes through labor. Her breaths are ragged, but her eyes are fierce, focused on bringing their daughter into the world. Marcus, usually composed, is visibly anxious, his voice soft but steady as he whispers encouragement, "You're doing amazing, Mary." The tension breaks as a cry fills the room, and the doctor lifts a tiny, squirming baby girl. Mary's tears flow freely, a mix of relief and awe, as the baby is placed on her chest. Marcus's eyes blinks, his hand trembling as he touches their daughter's tiny fingers. "She's perfect," he murmurs. The newborn, swaddled, as Mary names her Nora, a nod to their. 2 weeks later, in Mary's apartment, begins to experience the chaos of new parenthood, bottles on the counter, a half-folded diaper stack, Nora's soft cries in the background. Mary, sleep-deprived but tender, rocks Nora in her arms, her face a mix of love and overwhelm. Marcus, juggling a conference call, steps in to take Nora, his awkward but earnest attempt to soothe her earning a tired smile from Mary. "You're getting the hang of it," she says, her voice soft. He admits, "I'm terrified I'll mess this." Months later, Victor, Marcus's former business partner, resurfaces with a vengeance, leaking doctored financial records to the press, accusing Marcus of fraud to tank his company's merger. Marcus now in a tense boardroom, Claire by his side, strategizing damage control. He confides in Mary at home, Nora asleep in her crib. "This could cost me everything," he says, his voice raw. Mary, now more confident, suggests going public with their story to counter Victor's lies, offering to speak at a press conference. "We're a family," she says. "Let's show them." In a brightly lit conference room, Mary and Marcus face a sea of reporters, Nora in a carrier beside them. Mary, although nervous but poised, speaks first, her voice steady, "I'm not a scandal. I'm a mother, and Marcus is a father. We're building a life, not a scheme." Marcus backs her up, exposing Victor's manipulation with evidence Claire uncovered. The camera catches their clasped hands under the table, a subtle show of solidarity. The press softens, some applauding Mary's candor. Backstage, Marcus pulls her close, whispering, "You were." 5 months post-birth, Elise opens her design studio, a small but vibrant space filled with her sketches and logos. Friends, clients, Claire, and Tara cheering as Mary cuts a ribbon. Marcus, holding Nora in a baby sling, beams with pride. Mary unveils her first major project, a branding campaign for the nonprofit from the community rally. "This is for Nora," she says, her voice breaking with emotion. Marcus is nodding in respect, his eyes reflecting her triumph. A client approaches, offering a bigger contract, signaling Mary's rising success.